Hi, it's Wallace. Today marks the first day of the second week of my chocolate short stories challenge. If you don't know what I mean by that, I uploaded a video last week where I explained I'm going to attempt to write my way through 21 short stories. And these short stories will be based off of a collection of chocolates from Fortnum Mason called their Chocolate Library. You can go back and watch that video if you want, but a really quick breakdown in case you don't have the time to go watch an entire other video. The idea is that every week I take one of these chocolates that have been designed to look like a little book, and I base a short story off of the title, the cover that's designed on the chocolate bar, and then a blurb on the Fortnum Mason website that gives just a little bit extra insight into what the designers of the chocolate thought the story might be about. In theory, it's a fun way for me to get more comfortable with short form writing and just a way of keeping me creatively engaged from week to week. My only real goal for today is to pull the next story out of the bowl and then obviously try and review the chocolate. Let's do that. Why wait? I don't know why, but I feel like there are less in here than there were last time, and I'm paranoid that I've lost some of them. But I also don't have the energy to pull them all out and count them, so we're just gonna go with it. And the next short story shall be... Woo! Dark chocolate with Colombian coffee. I'm excited for this one. That's so funny too, because when I was writing last week's, the lavender one, I was like, ooh, I'm excited to write the coffee one. Well, dark chocolate with Colombian coffee. Now that we know what kind of chocolate we're gonna do, we're gonna pull it out of the library and see the title and the cover. Well, this is the library. Dark chocolate with Colombian coffee. Ooh, I like this cover. The title of this week's short story is going to be Breakfast in Bogota, and this is the cover. Last week I tried to be all fancy and show me slowly unwrapping the chocolate bar, but then I ended up with a really weird framing situation and I was like halfway off camera. So instead, I'm just gonna open it right here and right now, and I'm gonna sample it and give my thoughts, and we're gonna do the whole mindful eating ritual again because that was kind of fun. Oh, it's a little bit broken. Oh, it's a lot broken. Okay, well, I'm gonna hold it up so you can see. Ah! All right, these are the pieces that I will be consuming, but first we do the whole visual thing, okay? So, oh, it is getting it's getting all over my hands. Oh well. Okay, so it melts very fast. That's something to take note of. First, we look at it. It looks broken. Oh, wait. I feel like metaphorically that's interesting. Maybe our protagonist is a little broken. I'm just saying. Anything can be a context clue. It's broken. It's darker, obviously, than last week's chocolate because this is dark chocolate. Now to smell it. Don't smell coffee in this at all. And not to brag, but I think I have a good nose. The true test is the taste test. So here we go. Do I close my eyes? Am I gonna be that extra about it? Yes, okay. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. Yes, okay. So I have a few thoughts. First of all, I should say as a disclaimer, I'm not the biggest dark chocolate fan. I don't hate it, but I'm not the biggest. And also I'm not the biggest coffee fan either. However, I know you're like thinking, wow, why did you seem so excited then? I'm just really excited by how well the flavor that I expected came across. With last week's, it was a milk chocolate lavender bar, and the lavender was just very, very subtle, kind of reaching not even a peak before completely going away. This time, I mean, you take 2 bites and then all of a sudden your mouth just fills with the flavor of coffee. This chocolate bar is very distinct from last week's chocolate bar. It's a really strong flavor. I don't know if I'm gonna eat the full section just because it is a really strong flavor. Look at all of these adjectives I'm getting for my protagonist. We have broken but strong, interesting, but also melty. I'm gonna include that, but I don't know how yet. But I'm really excited. This is definitely getting my creative energies flowing. All right, breakfast in Bogota. That's where my brain's gonna be for the next week. Check back in with y'all later. Ooh, coffee. Hello, it is many hours later and I have an emergency news update. I am Bobo the Fool. I am a fool. You know how I was all like, oh, there are things on the website, little blurbs that are related to the story that I incorporate into. Well, I went online for this one and I didn't see it and I thought, oh, that's too bad. Well, I guess that gives me more freedom. No. Turns out all of the chocolates have blurbs on their inside flap. All day today I've been thinking, breakfast in Bogota, what will I write for you? What will I write for you? And I had kind of all these ideas floating about. Well, you can kiss those goodbye because this is the blurb on the inside flap. It says, every morning they meet, every morning the same. The heads of two long-at-war families meet to discuss peace. Will today finally see change? That's a pretty specific prompt, which honestly, I know I'm sounding very outraged right now, but I'm not really that mad. I'm the kind of person who likes direction, so I think this might be good for me, actually. And I'm just very glad that I found out on week 2 that these things were here in the back versus week, 12. That would have been a little bit embarrassing. All right, that's it for this evening's emergency update. Good night. You ready? Good girl. It's been about 2 days since I have started this new story or pulled the kind of chocolate. And yeah, I think the discovering that there was a very specific prompt on the inside of the flap kind of not threw me for a loop, but I just had ideas and now they've had to shift. But I did a little brainstorming on my iPad a few days ago after I found out that the story is supposed to be like a conversation between two heads of warring families. And I was asking myself questions. Why are there two warring families and why are they at war and yet the heads of the families can still meet for breakfast every morning? And what does that mean? And so I'm thinking that the two warring families aren't like human families, that there's a supernatural element to it. And I kind of like the idea of these two heads meeting every day in a different city because they're immortal and they can travel really fast around the world. I just wasn't sure what kind of immortal, because I don't want it to be an angel and a demon because that would be way too close to Good Omens. But I was talking with Katie. She actually gave me a good idea for what they could be. And I'm gonna sit on that idea as I enjoy this little blip outside. Do you want me to throw it? Whoosh. Good evening. It is Saturday night. It is very late at night. I got onto Scrivener and I started kind of fiddling around with the whole idea of just the ideas that I had come up with yesterday and like talked through earlier this afternoon. And yeah, the words are flowing. I honestly just opened up the computer because I wanted to kind of nail down the dynamic between our two protagonists, and it's coming off as a little bit less ineffable husbands and more just polite. I don't want to say disgust because that's not accurate. That's not important. The important thing is that I feel like I have all this dialogue between them and I've basically written it. I just need to go in and add in kind of the fluffy descriptions and stuff, but I have the general flow and outline of the story, which is super exciting because it is Saturday night, not Wednesday night, which is a big improvement for me. A really quick update. I sent off my very, very rough draft this morning to one of my writer buddies, Katie Ann, the lovely Katie Ann. Thank you so much. And she just went through and left some comments and fixed my numerous grammar errors. I went through and accepted basically every grammar edit she suggested, and then I have left behind only all the really complimentary comments. Because I'm vain and I like reading about people's enjoyment of the things that I write. So I'm gonna leave those there and reread them a few times because they bring me joy. Thank you again, Katie. But now I really do have homework that I need to finish and submit. So this is probably gonna be all the work I'm gonna do on the story today. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I can finish it up tomorrow. It is Monday morning. I am currently watching Grape Fry's live stream and this story is basically done. Me, finished with an assignment. 4 days before it's due. Who am I? I honestly think I just need to put kind of some last minute touches, go over it one more time for grammar and stuff now that I've, slept on it for a little while, see if I can catch anything that I couldn't catch before. And then I'm just gonna put it away and edit this video and be done with this one. I'm really excited for this one. I think it's fun and interesting. It's really funny because in some of the feedback that Katie gave me when she did look it over, she was like, oh, you definitely have to come back to this and continue it. And I was like, oh no. And the problem is that I kind of agree with her, but I said I had to put a page limit on myself for each story. Otherwise, I ran the risk of getting carried away with an idea and trying to start an entire new actual like full-length novel. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to get through 21 of these things, okay? That aside, I am very, very happy with it. I guess my one hangback at this point, or drawback or whatever at this point, is that I kind of got carried away with developing the prompt itself about the two warring families, and I latched onto an idea really quickly and ran with it without actually sitting and considering if that idea really matched the aesthetic of the cover. So a part of me is second guessing that I didn't quite meet my own personal rules for this challenge, but I'm happy with the story anyway, so we're just gonna be done with it. Hello, it's Wallace from the present. I don't know. It's very hilarious that I finished this story super early and then the internet at my house was topsy-turvy for multiple days, which meant I couldn't upload last Thursday, which meant that this video was going to be late anyway. But that's okay because I still have some things to say. First of all, it's been very humorous going back and watching the earlier parts of this video where I put so much care and time into thinking about how the chocolate's flavor would inform my character. And one of the things I really focused on was broken and strong. And I created so much lore for this story that I have a character whose POV you follow that in my brain is both broken and strong and melty. That's an important one. We can't forget about melty. But just because the lore is in my head doesn't mean it translates to the actual scene. And I'm not sure any of those attributes come across in that scene. So that's hilarious. Secondly, on a more meta level, for the first week of this series, I put the short story itself down in the description, but that's because that short story was just about 500 words, which I think YouTube gives about a 5,000 character limit for the description. This story is over 1,000 words and so is too long for the description. So right now my working theory is I'm gonna make a 10 panel long Instagram post with the whole story and you can just flip through it like you're reading pages in a book, which I hope I'll link down below. But if I can't get that to work, then I'll just link a Google Doc or something. Either way, access to the story, if you're curious, will be down in the description below. But yeah, overall, I felt like this was a really good short story week for me. The chocolate wasn't my favorite flavor, but it was a really strong, distinct flavor, which I was pumped by because I felt like that helped me envision more distinct characters. If you decide to read it, I hope it is at least semi-entertaining. That's pretty much all I have to say. I have already pulled the chocolate for what was supposed to be this week, and I've technically started work on that story, although by technically, well, I'm just gonna let you interpret that how you want to interpret that. But for the sake of getting back on schedule and not for any other reason such as me needing more time or anything like that, I'm gonna push what was supposed to be this week's video to next week. So chocolate short story number 3 will either be up on Tuesday or Thursday, depending on how much I procrastinate. So awesome. Okay, that's it for me. I'm cutting myself off. As for you, go be happy, go be healthy, and go write. Bye.